Hello there again, and welcome to another edition of We Welcome Your Teams, a podcast about football stadium announcers. My name is Rich Hurst. I am the West Bromwich Albion announcer, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Alan Keegan, the voice of Old Trafford. Alan.
Hiya, mate. You okay? All good? All good for the baggies?
So. Yeah, we're not. Okay. Things are starting to level off. I know you're only chirpy because at time of recording, you're just off the back of a 3-0 win over Chelsea. So naturally,
Yeah, well,
you're a
2-1. 2-1
Sorry,
win.
2-1. Sorry.
Yeah.
2-1. Naturally,
Yeah.
you're a chirpy one.
Yeah. No, we'll take it. And
Okay.
a very, very pleasant surprise. Apart from the rain, the heavens opened up. And in 25 years, announcing at Old Trafford, it was the worst day of my life for weather because it rained from the very beginning. Obviously, we were a late kickoff. It was bad, when the roof and all the leaks and everything else, but that was in a condensed sort of time period. On the Saturday that we played Chelsea, it rained all day. And when we were 2-0 up, I was getting a bit worried because the Premier League manager said to me, if this carries on, this could get abandoned. And we're 2-0 up, and I'm thinking, oh, my, that'll be typical. But anyway, we hung on, we clung on, and a nice 3 points.
Which would have been classic, because obviously if the game had been abandoned, you'd have had to come on the mic and tell everyone. And that would be up there with, your last train home is cancelled. There's no beer left in the stadium. You'd be public enemy number one.
I know, no chips and gravy at half time and all the rest of it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but anyway, it didn't come to that. Yeah, relief. Yeah.
And a quick hello to Mike Botto at Bournemouth, who recently surpassed 500 games as Bournemouth announcer. Got himself a lovely presentation on the pitch with a giant frame shirt, which I saw going around. Nice pictures. And I also saw a nice picture of Lance Cook at Bristol Rovers, who got a shirt for his 10 years and counting on the mic. It was presented by the club captain. So let's crack on. Just want to mention that I'm in my 11th year. If anyone from West Brom might be listening, I don't mind a shirt with 11 on instead. It's not an odd number. Not at all. Let's get on and meet our guest, shall we? Somebody who has actually been mentioned on the start of this series already, but is now here in person to tell his story. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Hull City, Steve Jordan. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Rich. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Very good. So would you like to take us through the way you introduce the teams, and I will roll off the very appropriate music that you use to introduce your team. Take it away.
Okay, so I would be stood at the mouth of the tunnel, which we all are familiar with, I'm guessing. And we play an adapted version with a really powerful voiceover that's just been brought back of the William Blake poem, The Tiger, which has been adapted to say, tigers burning bright on hallowed turf, a glorious sight, etc., etc., etc. And then it goes a bit all moody, and then there's kind of like some sort of like anticipatory music there, and then I would stand there and get the nod from the referee, see them moving, and then it would be, and I'll try not to shout too loud because I know you're going to bring it up, but anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome this afternoon's teams. Insert team name here. And Hull City! And then they're out, and hopefully that's all coordinated. There we go. And then we get this.
And you get this. I'm guessing this is coordinated to hit the... Yeah. I'm not as well prepared as your audio provider, obviously.
Sometimes, when it's a big match, particularly on a night, there'll be pyrotechnics going along with that.
That
works really well, yeah.
I can hear that, actually. I can see that. That sounds nice. I mean, how lucky have you got it that a song that is so iconic anyway is about tigers? I mean, come on. I don't think we've met anyone who's got as an appropriate walkout tune.
You can't not play it. I mean, even if, this is, looking back, this is quite 80s cheese, really. But, it covers every possible... It ticks every box. You've got thumping, a tune everybody knows, thumping beat. It's a sports song as well from Rocky, and it kind of like, it all fits. Let's use it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say no to it, really. Has it always been that then? Because you've been there well, in theory, announcing since 2004 at Hull, haven't you?
Yeah, with a break, and I've only just come back, which I know that you're going to get onto later. There's been certain periods where we used different music and different ways of bringing the team on. My memory isn't great, and I can't because I know there was a point where they didn't bother getting a PRS license, so we were playing music from local bands. That was in a previous management structure.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all back to normal now, and we can play stuff like that. But yeah, I think, and as well, sometimes when you try to change it, and I've never tried to change things because I'm one of those, I would just do what I'm told. And if ever things come up, I think, oh no, the fans aren't going to like this, and then they try it and it doesn't work. It's like goal celebration music that was always a hot topic, and it never. Yeah. They tried it once. It didn't go down well.
No. Yeah, it's funny. In some places, I know some people, it's just folklore, but it still remains Marmite, especially for us here. Because remember, we are the ones who will get it in the neck if people don't like it.
Yeah, because they think it's you that's playing it, even though you've only got two hands. One has a clipboard and the other has a mic in it. So how on earth am I playing that music? Yeah.
Yeah, very true, very true. So look, we've covered the build up to kickoff, and we've covered the walkout and all that kind of thing. Now we move on to pretty much the main reason, not the main reason, but one of the reasons we had to track you down and get you on. You can explain it after we've played this clip that I can tell you has been around the WhatsApp group for stadium announcers. I've lost track of how many times, Al, but we've seen it and heard it again.
Yeah,
Let's go through it.
I kept replaying it.
We all felt horribly inadequate as well. Anyway, here it is. Right then, Steve, over to you. Explain.
Okay, I will explain. However, I'm unfortunately going to let your balloon down gradually, but there, because that's not me. That wasn't me on that video.
That was a stand-in, wasn't it?
That was a stand-in. That wasn't me.
Right. Go on,
that wasn't me, but I know. Yeah, I did see that on the internet. So
it went round.
That was a colleague of mine, Ben. Lovely, lovely, lovely Ben. And so at the moment, because I've only just got the position back as the stadium announcer, all says he's starting at the beginning of the season.
I'm guessing because he got laryngitis.
Well, that was the first. Bless him. He did tweet something along the lines of, "Has anybody got any strepsils?"
Yeah.
So yeah, bless that. That was Ben who said to me, "I'm very nervous about doing it." I'm going, "Oh, you'll be fine." So, although that wasn't me, that is the act, and I know it went down very well that day, even though you can't hear any fans in that clip, which is kind of a bit concerning. But so the crowd do cheer back when he does that. That doesn't it never came through my end anyway. But so you go for the quietest stand first, which is the west stand, and then you go around, and then you get them all to cheer together at the end. More often than not, it works. Yeah, so Ben did that for the first home game when we beat Oxford, and the next home game we just had when we beat Southampton, because I was away for those because I was previously booked when the club got in touch with me to ask me to come back. But it should be me from here on in. But yeah, that clip, which I know has been doing the rounds, isn't actually me. My voice is deeper than that.
Now that we've got you on, I'm like, I don't know, see what it is. But is that, how long's that been the thing before kickoff then?
Oh, it's been, I think, maybe since the late 90s. Now, I started in 2004. Previous home was Boothbury Park, and I can't claim any connection to that, because that was the warm-up of my predecessor, a man called Martin Hainstock, and he did it at Boothbury Park and brought it to what was then the KC Stadium when they moved home. And of course, because it was a new stadium and the results started picking up, it started to work more for him. And then he left, and then I got the job. Having previously been at Nottingham Forest, I was asked to join Hull City, which is what I did. And then I had said I don't want to do that. It's the thing I'm known for. And I said I don't want to do that. And they said, "Oh, but the fans love it. You've got to do it." I went, "Oh, okay then." And it took me a good 5 or 6 games to get into it and do it. And and sometimes when there's just like a somber occasion and you don't do it and you just go straight to the game and there's a reason for that, it does feel weird. And you think, "Oh, I missed out on that," and people text you or Twitter you and say, "Well, why didn't you do that today? Why didn't you do that today?"
Interesting.
Yeah. So no, it's not my act. I inherited it, and I can't see myself not doing it now, unless told otherwise.
So you just said something there, Steve, that, you've been away, you've came, but you come back and you sort of started it in 2004 and you just dropped it in about Forest. So tell us that whole journey of Forest and Hull, and how does that all come about?
Well, for me, it's kind of been like living the dream, Alan, because being a Hull, so I'm in my 50s. I was always a Hull City fan. First game I went to was in 1979. Badgered my dad, who doesn't like football, to take me. Fell in love straight away. I remember sitting in the West Stand, and one of those stands where when the ball gets kicked out of play and it lands on the roof, you get showered with rust, that kind of thing. It was lovely. Smell of cigar smoke and coffee, and I'll never forget that. But a crowd of probably only about 4,500 there. Fell in love with it. However, and you'll both well know, there wasn't that much TV on football on the TV in those days. So you would get your fill from Match of the Day or European football, and I always had Nottingham Forest as my second club because they were the one that I could watch on the television. Their football was amazing. They got 2 back-to-back European Cups. You had Brian Clough, who was a legend, and the players were brilliant. And so they were my second club. 1999, I got a job on the radio doing the breakfast show on a station called Century 106, who had a tie-in with Nottingham Forest because we did live commentary. We had Darren Fletcher, who's on TNT, as the lead commentator for Forest games, along with Larry Lloyd. And then at the end of the first season of me being there, they said, "Oh, actually, we're after a new stadium announcer. Do you have anybody there?" Now, it's amazing how many radio presenters don't actually like football. It always blows my mind, this. So they said, "Oh, Steve does. He might want to do it." And they said, "Oh, do you want to be the stadium announcer at Nottingham Forest?" So I nearly exploded. I said, "Do I want to be the stadium announcer?" Yes, I do. So I would do my programme during the week, and then at Forest on a Saturday. Penultimate game was the game where Brian Clough had just died, and I brought on the 79 and 80 European Cup winning side. Wow. So I'm stood there and there's like, Shilton, Anderson, Kenny Burns, Larry Lloyd, Martin O'Neill, John Robertson, Trevor Francis, Gary Birtles, who I then went on to work with at Century as well. All there, just absolutely incredible. Wow. And the only reason I left was because at this point, I was no longer working on the radio in Nottingham, but I'd sort of kept the job at Forest, and I was only coming to Nottingham every fortnight to do a game. And I, by chance, bumped into somebody from Hull City during the summer, during the pre-season, and said, they knew who I was. He was a friend of mine. I said, "Oh, Rob," and I said, I'm working at Nottingham Forest, but if the job ever came up at Hull City, never thinking it would, I said, I'd probably leave Forest and come to you. And then literally 3 weeks later, "Martin's left. Would you like to come?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." I wasn't expecting that. But I was in the lucky position for the first 3 months of that season of having Forest and Hull City at home on alternate Saturdays, and matches midweek. Forest were Tuesdays, Hull City were Wednesdays, or the other way around. So for the first 3 months, I was able to do both clubs and then sort of like gradually leave Forest in instalments and hand it over to Mark Dennison.
Just as a matter of interest, do you know how long did you do Forest for?
5 years.
So do you know who you took over from at Forest?
It was, I think, Craig Strong.
Right, okay. Right, that's fine. Because I've recently been doing some events for the Forest Old Boys,
Okay.
And they've had reunions, for the European Cup winners, 79, 80, and obviously a lot of the legends have been there, all those that you've mentioned. But sadly, by the way, John Robertson's not very well. You probably know that.
Yeah.
Parkinson's, and he's not in a good way. But I just wondered if you knew you took over. But what a journey! That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean, like I say, I've ended up working for both of my favourite football teams. It's just incredible. I'm going to wake up.
We don't often talk about the transfers and how that all goes down sometimes when someone leaves one club to go to another. It doesn't happen very often, and we come across all sorts of announcers in shapes and sizes who, were fans of the club, got in and have been there forever. There are people who were presenters who, got the opportunity to do it quite often because they worked on the radio close by. And how often have we heard that hour? Well, someone does the breakfast show and they're it, and that's how it ties up. But then somehow miraculously you end up transferring clubs as a gig. I did it. I did it at Portsmouth for a few years just because that was where I lived at the time before getting to be up at West Brom. I did
it at City.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was interesting because obviously always been a United fan, but the headline, I think you're definitely old enough, Steve. I don't know if Rich is, or I don't know if it was a Manchester thing. We used to have a paper called The Pink, and all the football results would come out at sort of 5:30, 5:45. You'd rush down to the local news agent. There was no social media. And anyway, when I signed for, or when I went to United, there was a contract.
Okay, all right.
When I went to United, the paper had the headline because Kevin Keegan had been the manager of City, and it had Keegan signs for United. So it was a great headline. It's brilliant. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. So you've transferred. You've had a Bosman sign into Hull.
Yeah.
And so where were Hull then at that time? They've had such a roller coaster, haven't they?
Yeah, so I'd come in. They'd just been promoted from League Two, and so it was League One, and it really had started taking off with Peter Taylor as manager, really assembling a very, very good squad. It was very on Hull City like from me being a fan for many years before that. And all of a sudden, there was so much hope and expectation and confidence among the fans that we'd get the results and even get promotion again. And that did happen very, very quickly. So much so, we were having those legendary beanbacks for away games because we couldn't get that many fans to Yeovil or Luton Town or wherever. So, we put a big screen in the middle of the pitch and we get everybody in the West Stand and, I'd host those days as well. I mean, those were incredible when you think about it now. And, it was really, and then it became, of course, then the Championship and then to the Premier League, which is, just a few years of me being there was never on the cards for me as a fan. Never.
Okay. What about that? That when you had that sort of 3 weeks, you had the call to start the season at Hull. What do you remember about the first? Because I suppose that's the first game. I mean, unless you have stronger memories of your first ever Forest one, which was probably just as special.
Forest was a bit different because there was. I mean, obviously I didn't do the act at Forest, but it was just simply a case of, as I remember it then, just announcing the teams. And I know that as Mark explained on his podcast, he's around the pitch now. Well, that never happened with me. I'd be, and I missed a goal doing this. You'd finish reading out the end of the subs, and then you'd be running to the control room. And there was one goal after 17 seconds, which I missed. And I had to very breathily read out the scorer. And I thought there must be a better way of doing this. But I thought, I don't want to ask anybody if I can just hang around the tunnel, which is a whole city, which is what I do, which is great. But yeah,
nice.
You've had some interesting managers as well, haven't you, over the years? I mean, Brucey was there, wasn't he? Mike Phelan.
Stephen might have a lot of time for. Steve was, very, very good to me. Same with Phil Brown, of course, before then.
Were you there for the finger pointing?
Was working with Steve and got the gig himself. Very, very, real people, away from football, and always ask after you as well. When they hear about you, or you get to interview them in other surroundings, that kind of thing. Really, really good.
Were you there for the finger wanging? Were you there that day as the announcer?
I wasn't. No, that was a Boxing Day game, wasn't it? I was not there, and I couldn't. I was watching it on the TV because I think it was a live Saturday afternoon BC game, as I remember, or Setanta, whatever it was back then. Yeah. Oh my word. Oh, this is incredible. What's going on here? And I think I was in a pub watching it where at half time, when they turn the sound down and put music on, and then they'll bring this, and then they'll put the match back on. Yeah. I think that's it. It's like, we don't know what the commentator's saying. What's going on here? He's definitely doing it on the pitch, isn't he? He's definitely doing that. Yeah, that was. Bless him.
Yeah, no one appreciates that, do they? When we're watching football anywhere else, it's like I know I'm actually slightly more interested in what's going on at half time on the pitch than everybody else.
Yeah.
Or I want to get to the game, an hour and a half early to see what the first song they play is and what the first announcement is that they do. Yeah.
But Jimmy Bullard's made a living out of that day, hasn't he? He's still making a living out of it now.
Yeah, hasn't he just? Yeah, I mean that was fantastic. I mean, to recreate that, and to agree that whoever scores got to recreate that celebration, and then of course, who else was going to score that goal to be able to sit everybody down on the pitch and do the finger wagging? It had to be Jimmy. It could only be Jimmy.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Have you had some good interactions with managers and players down the years then? Because depending on who we speak to and which clubs they're at, and generally just which managers they are, would you say there've been some good ones you've kind of interacted with as the announcer?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of sort of fan nights with some of the managers. Peter Taylor was also always very good at that. Brian Horton, Phil, of course, Steve. The list goes on. Always really good. I would say, I've got, funny enough, my favourite ever interaction was actually with an opposing manager, where I'd done my shouty stuff on the pitch, and it was a home match against Liverpool, which we won in the Premier League. It's live on the TV. And I've done my good afternoon East Stand, etc. I've come off the pitch. This is the KC Stadium as it was then, the home of the Tigers. And then everybody goes, and then hopefully it all crescends up to the kickoff. I walk up the pitch, and Brendan Rodgers comes up to me and shakes my hand and said, "Well done, son." He said, "That was brilliant." Wow. And strangely, my first thought was, I'm going to Liverpool. He sold in these things. That was my last game. I'm thinking he's going to come off the pitch at half time and he's going to give me a piece of paper with his phone number on it.
Scouted. You've been tapped up.
And I'll never forget that. And then they came back the season after, and I walked past him. He didn't even look at me. So
it's cold.
So so I must have remembered the season before. Yeah.
Oh, dear. So you're expecting to have could have almost been our first case of manager friends on the podcast.
That would have been lovely.
No, still not there. Although actually, now I say that, I think I remember Gary at Sheffield United saying he used to play golf at Neil Warnock's house. Actually, I might be wrong about that.
Wow.
Maybe he was a good manager friend. Yeah, I think Neil Warnock had a golf course built in his house, and Gaz, the announcer, used to go around and play golf with him. I don't think I've made that up. We'll check with him.
Funnily enough, my first ever interaction with Steve Bruce was when he was manager at Sunderland. Now, I sit in the seat that's next to the away dugout, and Steve Bruce had got a bit aerated and was losing against Hull City, and he got sent off or sent to the stands. And he looks around, and it's a full house, and he's literally got his hands up in the air going, "Where do I go?" And the only seat that was available was the one next to me. So he sat next to me. Now, of course, by this point, he's got no idea who I am. We became very friendly in later years. He sat there and he was grumbling and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what he was saying. So I was just thinking, oh God, I'm thinking the camera's going to be on me because the camera's on Steve. So I'm just like, you know, does my hair look all right? I keep smiling just in case the camera comes on me. And anyway, he's shouting from his seat. I'm thinking, what was the point of sending him off? You've just moved him one seat back from where he was. That's all you've done. And then a couple of weeks later, a friend texts me and says, have you seen Nuts magazine? Do you remember Nuts magazine and Zoo magazine? They used to have this feature called the lip reader, and they'd get somebody to lip read certain things that have been in the news to try and work out what it was that they were saying. And they'd put the pictures of Steve Bruce sat next to me. They were trying to work out what he was saying after being sent off. I was like, this is mad. This is really mad.
Yeah. Anything for a feature.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's nuts.
Those were the
Literally.
days.
Yeah, they were. So, and then and that was that before or after then? Because you touched on it. Was that before or after he became Hull manager? Did you like? Could you
this was before. So this is before I had any kind of conversation with him. So yeah.
Did when he rocked up for his first day or first game at Hull? Then did you manage to?
No, because I still, even though I work in football, I'm still quite in awe of everybody and everything, and I'm quite shy, believe it or not. And I'm unless they come to me, I'll come to them. I remember, luckily, I've done Wembley 4 times, and Phil,
you've hit a nerve.
Yeah, I know I've hit a nerve there. I knew I was going to get it in at some point, but there is a reason for it.
Wow.
And of course, Phil had done his, that's right, 4. Look at that, Rich. 4 of Alan's fingers there.
Yeah,
4 of them.
I can see it. Yeah.
2 twos, look. Nice.
Nice. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was on, as you know, they get the announcers from each of the 2 sides for a Wembley final on there. It's a playoff final against Bristol City. I'm reading the team out. I am on the pitch. Phil Brown is coming off because he's been doing his coaching on the pitch ahead of the game. And then there was a song about Phil Brown, and I can't remember what it was. But I was meant to get the crowd going. I told you my brain's not as good as it was. And then I just started singing it, and he burst out laughing, and he's going on. He gave me a push, going off back to the tunnel at Wembley. So it's just the odd little moment like that, which is lovely.
Can't beat it, though. Can't beat it. It sticks with you, doesn't it? It does.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk about the World Cup in Russia.
Yeah, so 2018, I was the English-speaking stadium announcer at 10 of the games there. The biggest one was my last one, which was the quarter-final between France and Uruguay.
I'm just gonna echo the question that every single announcer is now shouting at their podcast, iPod, phone. Yeah. How does that? How do we get this? How does anyone get this?
Well, it's quite the story, and it's simply a case of I was on LinkedIn. That's it. Wow. So on my profile, it'll say stadium announcer, I think, whatever, it still does, or it does again now. Should I say after 4 years where it didn't? And so I get a private message saying, "Hello, Steve. I've been looking at your profile. I am working on behalf of FIFA. I'm looking for a stadium announcer to do some games at the World Cup." The photograph of the woman who sent the message was incredible. So straight away, with a Russian name, the alarm bells are, of course, righto. And so I spent about 6 days, I didn't reply to it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, go on.
Couldn't leave.
So I replied, and then for about 6 weeks, there was toing and froing. Where was I going to work? And ended up doing more games than anybody else because I was prepared to be over there for a whole month instead of just like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I was there for a whole month because I would travel between two cities, which was Nizhny Novgorod and Saransk. 4 games there and 6 in Nizhny. One of those was the England-Paraguay game where we won, Panama game where we won 6-1. And so, I did an England game out of the 10 games that I did. But it wasn't until they gave me all the flight details and the visa came through that I actually thought, I am going. And luckily, my job on the radio was like a 0 hours contract, freelance. So I said, I need to take 4 weeks off. You won't believe why. And luckily, they were very, very accommodating. But
I expect they also managed to rope that into the sales figures when you got back. Probably it's quite handy, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So so I ended up at the World Cup. And the worst thing was when I sent the reply, they didn't reply for a long time. And it was only when I got to Russia and I actually got to meet this woman. I wish I could remember her name, but I've on LinkedIn I have kept that message, that whole email chain. I've not deleted it. Christina, I'm sure her name's Christina, and she messaged me but she did. It took such a long time for her to message me back simply because what I didn't realise was they don't have LinkedIn in Russia, and it's kind of banned, so they have to find a way around it, and they can only do it every so often. That's how it was explained to me. So I knew that if I sent her a message, I had to make sure every question that I'd thought of was in there, because she might only get one chance that week to read it and reply to it. So I thought, it's not like I can have a conversation like WhatsApp where we're just toing and froing. Yeah. So that honestly, that's how I got the job. I didn't apply, I didn't audition. It was literally, are you a stadium announcer? Do you speak English? Would you like to come to Russia for a month? Wow. Yeah, go on.
Keep your profiles updated, kids. It's
the
only way.
Yeah,
you never know who's going to be looking and scrolling and from what country they're from. I love the fact that were you doing that kind of, all right, yeah, let's see then. When you go back to thinking it's a scam, you go back to thinking, all right, yeah, let's see. You know, if you play along with scams every now.
Yeah, well, I mean, so when I did reply, I can't remember what I'd said, but I was very, very careful in what I said and how I said it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to give too much away about me.
No.
Thinking, all of a sudden, something's gone wrong, and I just don't know what to do now.
In this room, though, if you'd said to anyone else, someone messaged me on LinkedIn saying I could be a stadium announcer at the World Cup, so I ended up giving them all my details and got scammed. In this room, you'd be forgiven for that because I think we'd all do exactly the same thing.
But honestly, you wouldn't believe the gap that I left between that and replying, because I only told a select number of people.
Yeah.
Just to see what they said. What should I do here? This doesn't seem right, because it wasn't FIFA that directly got in touch. It was it was a Russian production company that were working on behalf of FIFA.
Amazing. So where does that rank in your moments then? Like that England 6-1 game, where does that rank in your stadium?
Well, that's brilliant. Well, there's a Harry Kane hat-trick in there. Harry Maguire was also a big part of that game, who I'd been announcing at Hull City. So I'm reading his name out, thinking, I wonder if he recognises my voice. Yeah. because I was sat in the gods for that one, because I'd read everything in English, and then Dimitri, my Russian counterpart, would then repeat what I'd said, but in Russian, as you well know if you're a football fan listening to a tournament in foreign climes. Yeah, myself and Dimitri were quite the team. But the rehearsals were like 3.5, 4 hours long sometimes. You'd be at the stadium for like 7 hours. So it's a long old day doing something like that, because especially with the kids coming on with a big McDonald's logo and stuff like that goes in the centre of the pitch. That's got to be carefully choreographed every single time so that it's completely right. And you end up thinking, I don't do this at Hull City. I just turn up and do it. It's just for 3 hours.
But I guess you'd like to hope at that level. I mean, we've had Chris Temple on, who does England at Wembley, and I know we also spoke to Steve Pios, who does a lot of the FIFA World Cup finals and the Club World Cup finals and everything else like that. And that sounds like meticulous hours of prep. Let alone, as much as we are all very much professional, if you catch any of us at a 3 o'clock game before 12:30, then something horribly wrong.
Yeah, I don't actually have that much football memorabilia, but one of the one thing I think that I would run into a burning house and save would be right at the end of the tournament. I got very friendly, and I can't remember his name, but he was an ambassador for FIFA, and we'd bump into each other during the games, and he'd be often on the touchline in like a FIFA suit. And we'd end up drinking sometimes because of the time difference as well. It'd be like, right, everybody, we're going to a bar, we're going for a restaurant. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I ended up with him, and he got on really well with me. And then after the last game, I virtually flew home hours later after France versus Uruguay quarter final because it was England the next day, and I managed to sit down on the sofa in my own home to watch that with minutes to spare, getting back from the airport. But with me, I had a present from him, which was an unused match ball from that, so which has got the stamp of the game on and everything. So it's a proper FIFA ball that would have been used had it been needed. Spare match ball from that game. So that, I nearly burst into tears when he gave me it, and I did have a problem because it was fully inflated. And I'm thinking, well, I've got a month's worth of clothes here in this suitcase. What do I do here? So you won't believe how many pairs of my underwear are in Russian landfill somewhere, just to make room for this football.
How did you get it out the stadium?
It wasn't presented to me in the stadium. It was we'd all gone for like an after tournament drink. So it was a big team of like productions, because it was everybody who does the big screens and the on the pitch presenters as well, and so that, there's a good 12, 13 of us there. And he came out, and there's all kind of presents. So I was given it in a bar, but I was made sure it was in a big bag.
Talking of unusual gifts or memorabilia that you get after a big game, when we were presented with the Premier League in 2008, they have all the celebrations on the pitch at Old Trafford and everything else. One of the production team, or it might have been Mike Phelan, funnily enough, handed me one of the bottles of Barclays champagne, the big bottles they have that they shake.
Yeah.
Gave me one of them, and I still have it on my shelf, unopened downstairs.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So,
I would. Yeah, if that happened to me, I wouldn't have owned it either. You've done the right thing.
It's never getting open.
No, of course it's not. No. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's really good.
Keep hold of that.
Yeah,
that is impressive. Yeah. I got this once. That's about it. I think I got my time. This is it. You keep a few lanyards, don't you? But apart from that,
all my FIFA accreditations up in the loft.
Yeah, keep a few of them.
Yeah,
I need to get myself one of these big gigs, which means I need to go and update my LinkedIn profile, which is what I'm doing as soon as we finish recording this podcast. Nothing less. Right, Alan. Earlier, before we recorded this, you sent me a video from Macclesfield.
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending Macclesfield a few weeks ago as a guest of a friend of mine. It was the corporate, I have to admit. It was the prawn sandwich. And I have to say, the corporate facilities at Macclesfield are absolutely brilliant. They would put some Premier League teams, or definitely League One teams, to shame. They were superb. However, I got to meet the stadium announcer.
Did you? Were you kind of like introduced as, this is announcing royalty, Mr. Alan Keegan, here to see Macclesfield?
Yeah, the friend of mine who introduced us sort of was chatting away and said, we could see him on the other corner of the stadium, and he said, do you want to go and see him? And I'm thinking, yeah. He said, we just walk around the pitch. I thought, like you do, Old Trafford, you need about 10 certificates and permission and access badges. Anyway, we walked around, and I met the stadium announcer, lovely fella, really nice guy. And honestly, like you were saying before, Rich, and as we said, Steve, I love to sit there, not so much and watch the game. I love to hear what the announcer's doing, what he's got to do, when he's got to do it. And I'll tell you what, at Macclesfield, if it moves, it's sponsored. Because They
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know how clear the clip was. But,
let's have a go. I think I know
right.
what you're getting at here.
Well,
Let's have a go. Go on.
sorry, Rich. I think a goal had been scored,
Okay.
right? But then after the goal, and I kept it running, I was thinking of you, Rich. Then there was a sub. So this stadium announcer is a busy guy. Let's see if you can hear it.
This is just after the goal's gone in. Question for both of you: who can tell me who sponsored that goal announcement?
Harvard something. Yeah.
I hope there's a few goals at Macclesfield just to make sure that message gets round home. And you're right, on the video now, as they're going back to the centre circle, you can see the subs happening at the same time. I got that one. Domino's Pizza Macclesfield. I'm calling Domino's Pizza Macclesfield now because of that sponsorship. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive. Goal announced. Steve, do they do that at Hull? Have they ever done that at Hull? Sponsored anything that moves?
No, I tried not to laugh too hard at that because we do exactly that right now at Hull City with the players. So coming off, sponsored by. Although he's missed a trick there, he should have gone Domino. Who he should have done that, shouldn't he? Because that's an open goal there.
That's the thing now, isn't it? Yeah, that's the thing now. Yeah. We were talking with the Preston guys last episode about sponsors, and I'll still never forget the fact that they said that the team read was sponsored by Lancashire Bird Control, but because of the tannoy system, a lot of people thought it was Lancashire Birth Control, which is great. And
it's good when somebody scores.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. You can take the DJ off the radio, but you can't.
Back of the net.
Yes, please. Oh, cracking! No, I love it. I think it's a test of any announcer's mettle if they can deliver all of that, and still create the atmosphere you need from a goal announcement once you've done everything that comes before it.
It just all comes with pitch and tone, isn't it? It's just, ramping it up and making sure the inflection's correct, particularly when it's a player coming on and, you want to make sure that they've got the extra adrenaline coming through because they've got the crowd cheering. So just even the way you say things can get people to cheer, even if you're a couple of goals down and chasing the game.
Mm-hmm. Are you a mumbler when it comes to the away team scoring?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
which you can get away with at Hull, but not at Manchester United.
No, you can't. In case you don't know, Steve, I had an away team. The club wrote to United and said that I wasn't very professional. The way that I'd read out their team at the beginning of the game, I did it really low, and now, Old Trafford, Manchester.
It's announcer's prerogative, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's
part of the deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're away from home. What do you expect? It just, some of these entitled Premier League teams does make me wonder.
No, I have been known when maybe certain controversial players or players who've left in controversial circumstances have gone to another club and then they've come back with their new club and I'll read their name out. But I will sort of like go, number 17, like that. And then I'm thinking, as soon as I say that, they're going to boo. And that's what they did. And I'm thinking, well, that's what we're here to do, isn't it? That's the whole point. Yeah. I mean, you watch these games. There was a European game last week. I think it was the Arsenal game I was watching. And it seemed the stadium announcer was on all the time through the whole game, starting songs and singing. It was even picked up on the commentary. It was just
any other country.
Do that.
No, any other country they'll absolutely go for it, won't they? You look at Italy, you look at the Italian, the AC Milan announcer. I follow him on Instagram. He's got some incredible clips, and that, of course, they are home of the callback. Yeah. A few of the European countries, some of the Eastern European countries, just have incredible atmospheres throughout the whole game, but not in good old Blighty. No, not yet, anyway.
No, I don't think I could do that. No, definitely not me.
It takes cojones to try the callback. And as people on this podcast have found out, it can go horribly wrong.
It certainly can. I won't be doing it for a while.
No, but on the positive side, when you do get to dish out some names at the minute, and I know you've only just been back a few games, but there will have been certain players who were syllable-tastic when it came to goal announcements. Who were those players that you've been able to reel off, who you just know are going to sound good when you are booming them at the top of your voice of having just scored a goal?
Well, back in the day, Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. There was me thinking the classic is like 2-syllable first name, 2-syllable second name. But no, Jan Vennegoor. Yeah. Forgot about him. Yeah, only a few were blessed with that wonderful ability to reel that one off. Wow.
Yeah. No, I always enjoyed reading his name out. Yeah.
And slightly deeper breath as well, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, it's just like, you've got to psych yourself up because it's like, you've got to know. I mean, there has been times, particularly, you'll know this from where you stand now, you've got to check with two or three other people as to who's definitely scored the goal. And sometimes that works in your favour because you're a bit excited yourself. And you think, look, I just need to get all of my breath here so I can get the whole announcement out. Because I remember my first ever game, even doing the round the stands, I nearly fainted halfway through. I remember that. I was just thinking, I didn't used to do this at Forest. And I knew I was doing it, and I was worried all night the night before about doing it, and then did it, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be in the news. Oh, no. Breathe.
Don't faint. Yeah. We get. You can get slightly worked up ahead of like your remembrance game read, can't you? If you really put your pressure on yourself there, especially if you're on the telly as well. Then pretty much that's the one time of year that everything is always on you, and that is don't breathe. Yeah. Remember to actually breathe whilst you're doing this, otherwise it could go horribly wrong. But a lot of things to consider. And we do talk about having to miss games, which happens to all of us at times.
Yes.
Where do you sit on knowing? I mean, obviously we featured your previous stand-in quite heavily on today's pod, but where do you sit on that feeling of being somewhere else when there's a home game on and not being there?
I remember when I first started in 2004, I did miss one of the very first games because I had a holiday booked, like a lads trip, and so Hull City, and they beat Luton Town 3-0, and I was in Prague, and unbelievably, I was in a bar in Prague watching Soccer Saturday, and I think Hull City had gone 2-0 up within 10 minutes or something like that, and instead of being excited, I had my head in my hands over a pint in a bar, going, of all the games, we're 2-0 up, and I'm not there, and we won 3-0 in the end, and But I always try not to miss games. I always try and, even with pre-season friendlies, I do try and make sure that I'm there and not on holiday. This season round, it's been unavoidable because it seems, as I understand it anyway, I'm only back at the club because there was a Twitter campaign to bring me back because I left in 2021 because I was working for the BBC on a staff position, and I was then working weekends, so I had to decide what I was going to do. And I thought, I've done 17 years. I'm with the BBC now. And then I left the BBC a year later. And so 4 years away from football. As a Twitter campaign, it seems to me, to get me back in the summer. And the club, I think about a week before the first home game, got in touch because they'd seen it and said, would you want to come back if we asked you? I'm like, well, let's have a chat. So, but because that happened, the last game against Southampton, a couple of days back from recording this, I wasn't there. Ben did it because I was on a weekend break, and I was also away for the very first home game. So far, we've had 3 home games. We've lost 1. I did that one, and we've won 2. I didn't do those 2. I'm a jinx.
That's not good.
Don't worry. No. Feel the pain. Feel the pain. There was one weekend I wouldn't be able to do this season, which was back on the 13th of September. We had a big family thing to do. 10th wedding anniversary for some very close people. Was always going to be the case that I was going. You know, fixture gods obviously never smile on you when those kind of things are in the calendar. And they delivered a 3:00 kickoff at home against the team, which meant we would be activating our celebratory match for 125 years at the Hawthorns. So not only am I missing a game against Derby, but I'm also missing the 100. So honestly, I couldn't look at Twitter during the day because all of the clips and videos of stuff they were doing on the pitch. And by the way, Craig Punfield, who's done it before a couple of times with me and is at Sky Sports at the minute, but came back to do it, bless him, and he was brilliant because he is brilliant. But it was it was painful, and I just thought of all the times when our games get moved to Saturday lunchtime. It happens a lot in the Championship now. You've got those 3 televised games, Friday night games. Got a Friday night game coming up soon, but nope, not that one. Derby stayed rooted to 3:00, which meant there was absolutely no chance in hell I was going to be able to do it. And it was the only slight, I mean, I can say this now, but the only slight silver lining on the cloud was that they lost, which unfortunately you should have seen coming, because every time there's a big celebratory match at West Brom, somehow we managed to not mark the occasion with a win. Happened when Cyril Regis passed away, and we did a special game for that. Happened a couple of times recently, and they lost them as well. So maybe should have seen it coming, but still, it hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah. Always when you miss it, the one game that you don't want to miss. Yeah.
Well, look, Steve, thank you so much for recounting some of those tales. Is Nuts online at any point? I just wonder if they transferred that thing with you sitting next to Steve Bruce.
I don't know, because
somewhere. It would just be a paper copy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's another thing that's just in my loft with everything else.
Yeah. The only genuine reason you're allowed to have a copy of Nuts magazine.
Yeah. Don't throw that away. Yeah. I'm in
it. Yeah, probably the first announcer who can actually claim to have been in a lads mag, I think.
Yeah, we've not had that one before, have we?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And we'll let people read into that what they want. Final question, because, you know, all those years of experience at Forest, at Hull, and with some Wembley appearances in there, yeah, don't worry, and a World Cup.
World Cup, yeah. Wow.
A World Cup. What is the best thing about being a stadium announcer, Steve?
I think from my point of view, is actually being involved with the club that you support, I think, and, you know, and in certain instances, and with particular managers down the years, you know, feeling as though you're actually part of it all. And, just, you know, I just like it. I remember going to my first game, and I remember even hearing the stadium announcer and thinking, what's the sort of thing I'd like to do one day? And then there I was thinking, you know, unless, of course, I get signed as a centre forward, but that never happened. School football only for me.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And just check, because, you know, we've covered so many glorious moments in this podcast. Have there been any moments you'd rather forget whilst being on the mic?
Now then, not that. Do you know what? Not that I can think of. Apart from, there was also a season I did at Hull FC Rugby League. Did 2 or 3 years there as well. But I'm not really into my rugby as much as the football, so I'd have to check quite a lot with certain things before I read them out. But even so, I shouldn't have announced the scorer of the try being Paul Cook when it was in fact Paul King. But Paul Cook had literally left Hull FC to join Hull Kingston Rovers, which is something you should never do, only in recent days. And by pure luck, you could hear people muttering in the crowd. I'm thinking, because I've just done that by just repetition. I've taken my eye off the ball. I haven't read the team sheet. I should have just stuck with it. And I said, Paul Cook. And luckily, the gods were smiling on me, because whoever was on the controllers had left my fader up. And I just went, I'm really sorry, like that. and everybody laughed. And straight away, it was like, oh, thank goodness for that. Because if they'd have pulled my fader down, they wouldn't have got to hear me say that. And it was...
Hear the apology.
Oh, yeah. It was so... I just thought, I'll resign now. I'll leave.
Might have just saved yourselves there, but yeah, true. When people see a football announcer and go, "Oh yeah, get him in rugby, he'll be able to do that," doesn't always.
Yeah, well, I still do it, and it wasn't as enjoyable, I have to say, but only because I just thought, well, there's people who probably deserve this job more than me, who know more than me about the game, and it's a little unfair. So
I've sat at Worcester Warriors a few times and thought that. Trust me, that didn't last long.
No, I enjoyed doing it. Don't get me wrong, but I just wasn't as comfortable as I was when I'm doing the football, which is kind of always just been my life, really.
Exactly, and long may it continue as well.
I hope so. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get a win soon, and then I can shrug the jinx tag off.
I can't remember when West Brom Hull is now, actually. I haven't checked that far ahead in the fixture list. I'm sure it's been moved for telly. No doubt.
No, it'd be a 12:30, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll both be at 12:30 on a Saturday, where we meant to be somewhere else at 2. I don't know. Whatever. All right, Steve, look, thank you very much. Great to speak to you today, and great to hear that those, especially World Cup stuff, and finally putting an end to all the stuff banding around on the WhatsApp group about shouty man at Hull City.
Yes, I am shouty man at Hull City, today, but that clip isn't me. That's not me.
Exactly. That's the biggest crime of all. It's not even Steve.
No, the thing is, he's actually quite close. And I'm listening to it. No, when I was listening to it, I thought it took me about 5 or 6 words. I'm thinking, oh no, it's not me. No, that's not me.
Yeah, you'll have to record one and send it to us so we can play it and do it, see the difference.
Official announcement,
okay,
yeah. All those Twitter accounts that were enjoying it. I think the second tier podcast Twitter were enjoying it. The 44 Twitter account were enjoying it. I'm sure they can recorrect themselves. We'll get onto them on your behalf, Steve. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We will advocate for you. If this group does nothing else, it will do that for you and redress the balance. Oh, awesome! Right, Steve. Thank you so much. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, Rich. Alan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.